Hey, what's up my fellow COD elites? Hope the week went well for you all. So, in today's video, I'm gonna go over the best strategies and tactics to help you dominate as a zombie and as a human in the all-new Zombie Royale mode, which is just honestly a ton of fun, and my favorite mode that they've added into Warzone so far, so I really hope that they keep this in-game after Halloween. But, just before I jump into it, if you do end up enjoying this video, I'd massively appreciate a like and subscribe, but if not, that's fine too. I hope you enjoy it. But anyway, back to this video, and without further delay, let's just jump straight into the tips and tricks I found work best in this mode. And starting at number 1, this is when you're a zombie, never try to attack more than one person, because even if you can gas them and catch them off guard, they will easily be able to call their teammates to back them up, and chances are even if you do down him, you'll be easily outgunned before you can finish the kill. So yeah, never go for people who are in groups of 2 or 3. And if any of you have ever played Left 4 Dead as an infected in versus mode, the Warzone zombie is just kinda like the hunter in that game, in that he's great at ambushing and killing people on their own, but against people who are together, you have a very bad chance. So yeah, I would avoid that. Okay, and this leads us on to tip number 2, and that's when you've found someone separated from his squad and he's all alone, and you decide to attack. Don't run directly towards them or jump in a straight line at them, as you'll only make it easier for them to shoot you down before you can land any hits on them. Instead, the best way to get the kill is to instead find a building somewhere, or somewhere in elevated high ground where you can spot your enemy and have a good chance to see where he's going. And just when he doesn't realize what you're doing, you'll then want to try and jump and land vertically right on top of them. So this will not only catch them off guard, but it will also ensure that you'll most likely be able to get at least one hit on them before they can start shooting back at you, which just greatly increases your chance of securing the kill. So basically, to keep things simple, what I'm trying to say is you want to be landing as vertically over the person you're trying to attack as much as you can to give them as little chance to shoot back at you as possible. Alright, and with that said, for tip number 3 now, this one is also very important for your survival as a zombie, and that's if you start getting shot at, just jump out of the way and don't bother trying to go back and hit that person until your health gets recharged. Because most of the time, I found that you need as much of your health as possible to secure the kill, because the game seems to be designed around the zombie having more odds in winning the fight, so long as they haven't taken any damage before they can get within 5 meters of their opponent. But if you've taken any damage before that point, it's just very easy to gun you down whilst you're trying to get those melee hits in, so I would avoid that. Okay, so moving on to zombie tip number 5 now, and perhaps this is a bit cheesy and annoying, but it definitely does work. And what you'll want to do as a zombie is when you're going in to melee someone, you'll want to crouch or go prone for that last 2 or 3rd hit. And this just makes it so that you're quite hard to shoot, and if you can make your opponent miss even just 1 or 2 shots this way, it can really help you secure the kill. Because most of the times, if you've noticed, when you are like finishing off someone as a zombie and they're still shooting at you, you'll survive that gunfight with just barely any health. So you'll want to do anything you can to like make your health last as long as possible, and drop shotting or crouching, I'm sad to say, as a zombie is actually a very good way to do that, similar to how you would drop shot as a person. Alright, and now for my final tip as a zombie before I move on to the human tips in this mode. You'll want to, as a zombie, when you're attacking a building, use your EMP ability first before going in, because what this does is it actually destroys claymores and bouncing betties for you, so it just makes it that much easier to go in and get the kill. So yeah, don't forget to EMP buildings before you attack people inside them. Apologies, I actually have one more zombie tip for you guys before I move on to the human tips, but I somehow missed this out from my notes, which is why I didn't go over it yet. But anyways, if there are no clear targets or revive shots near you as a zombie, and your teammates are in a tight situation, say maybe they're trying to hold down a hotspot or they're moving through a dangerous location, it's often a good idea to just stick with them, as if you are still part of their squad as a human, except you can now ping for them exactly where enemy players and zombies are to help them get the kill, which is not only super useful for your team, but when they do get the kill on another squad thanks to your help, you'll also be able to take that revive shot and come back as a human. So this is very effective, and whilst I admit this might be a lot slower way to regain your humanity as a zombie than if you were to actively go out looking for kills or revive shots, it does greatly increase the chances of your teammates surviving. So it's definitely worth doing if there are no easy revive shots or easy kills near you that you can go for. Okay, and now with all those zombie tips out of the way, I'm gonna go over some effective strategies in playing as a human, which has worked well for me. And for tip number 1 as a human player, I'm gonna suggest that you have either a Merc thermal scope or Solo Zero night vision sight on your primary assault rifle, because although you won't really need it in the early game, the map actually gets gradually darker and darker, where at the last few circles it can be pretty tough to see your opponents, especially if they're using the more darker colored cosmetics in their operators, which is where the night vision sight and Merc thermal optic just really works so well in helping you spot them. Now, some of you might be thinking the thermal hybrid sights are a good option to use, but in my opinion they are not, because they actually penalize your aim down sight speed quite a bit more than the regular Merc thermal sight or the night vision sight that I just mentioned, so I would stay away from the thermal hybrid sights. I would also like to quickly mention here that Cold-Blooded is now also a fantastic perk that I think you should run instead of EOD, because, as I've mentioned, many people have actually figured out that thermal sights are the best way to go in this mode, so it just gives you a huge advantage against people trying to gun you down at range who are using those optics. But unfortunately, it is quite hard to survive until the endgame with all your perks intact, since you'll most likely die several times to the zombies. But if you can keep all your perks until the last few circles where things really get dark, the Cold-Blooded perk just becomes even more valuable. Okay, and now moving on to tip number 2 as a human, which is perhaps the most obvious one, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and that's to stick together with your squad mates, especially if you're moving to escape the gas or you're going through some really dangerous territory. You'll want to make sure everyone in your squad can see each other clearly, because it gives you a huge advantage against the zombies, and although they can stun you with gas and down you very quickly with just 3 swipes, they will still need to follow up attack you with melee attacks while you're down to secure the kill. And when this happens, your squad mates will have more than enough time to still gun them down before they can get the kill and finish you off. But if you're alone and you get downed, you essentially can only take 3 hits before it's game over, versus around 6 hits if your squad is nearby to back you up whilst you're on the floor. And at last, for my final tip I have for you as a human player, that is to try to make it a priority to buy yourself a field upgrade or spare loadout drop marker whenever you can, because when you die and end up respawning as a human, you get to keep most of what you were carrying, including any field upgrades, and in those last few circles where most of the map has been looted, it's pretty much impossible to find any armor plates anywhere, so if you've saved up an armor box until this point, it can make all the difference in keeping you and your squad alive. And if you're able to grab your perks too from a spare loadout drop kit that one of your other squad mates was carrying, this will just add to your advantage even more, when most people at this point will have died several times and won't have their perks to use. So yeah, with that said, that all comes to the end of this video now, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new, and if you did, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button for me, but if not, that's fine too. So thanks and stay safe, and I hope to see you in the next video.